Good evening, Andy and Amanda. How are you this evening?
A bit tired today, Tanisha. It's been a bit warm here today.
Yeah.
Amanda?
Boiling.
Yeah, it's crazy clean. Like, it was like, since the last time we spoke, I know how warm it got in London. And I was doing, make you laugh here, I was doing a podcast with it was Friday with a podcaster, actually. There's an action series. And I was telling him how warm it was. It was about 34 degrees last Friday night, Amanda, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, he was telling me from Chicago, and he said, normally that time of year where he is, he said it's normally hotter than that. And he said, he said, I couldn't believe it when I told him how warm it was. It's just absolutely crazy. And then, like, we went out on Saturday, Monday, didn't we, to my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary meal. And what was that like?
That was nice.
Well, it's what it was interesting clean was the temperature just nosedived. It dropped quite about half, didn't it, basically, when it wasn't Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
And we walked all around the Trafford Centre, back to Trafford Centre, and this restaurant clean. And it was a lovely walk, lovely and cool. But since then, it's been boiling again, so we can't win, can we?
I think it might rain then, because when it does that, like hot and cold, it could be the pressure in the air, and it will just suddenly you'll have a downpour, which is what happened here in London. It's a downpour on Sunday when I went footballing, and I didn't play football, practice it, because it was already starting to rain. So I went to the pub to get some chips, and as soon as I finished that and got on the bus and got off, it just poured down like torrential rain. Didn't stop for 10 minutes, and the streets were almost flooded.
Crazy. My mum and dad did that. They told us about that, man. They had a big flood, didn't they? Yeah, but dad said it. They had about 2 months worth of rain come down in 45 minutes, and their front and back garden turned into small lakes. And the road that they couldn't get out because the road was absolutely flooded as well. Just very, very strange weather in the past couple of days.
And when it's like that, it is unsafe to walk on the streets because of the sewage water mixing with the rainwater and the water coming up out of the drain.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's just like, it was just absolutely crazy. That's why. So no, it's just, we couldn't have anticipated that in terms of what we had over the weekend. It was just really, really strange. Really, really, really strange. Well, it's what it is anyway. So, right, Colleen, I think you've got another ghost story for us this week, haven't you? Or an unusual story.
Have you? You have.
I've got some about brief I know about, but I think you were doing research before, weren't you?
Yeah. This is really spooky again. I think when we talk about ghost stories, we get spooky coincidences. We're talking about destination. We were talking about places and the rain, and my research is on destination unusual places. The YouTube is Destination Tips. You got Devil Kettle USA. So one side of the water disappears. It splits into two and it disappears, and all the scientists can't figure out where it goes to. They've tried dyeing the water, putting ping pong balls in it, and they don't know where the water goes off to. There's 33 species living in Mobile Cave in Romania. It has a sulfuric lake, and it hasn't been open for 5 million years. So there's another world in that place. As soon as you go in, it's completely different.
Oh, completely that, Colleen. We've got parts of Manchester like that where they've got massive underground tunnels where, like we've got our own like railway system, like the underground, that's called the Metrolink. They tried there was a couple of attempts before this, and I told you about this, didn't I?
I don't know.
Called the Pick project.
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, where they did actually in the 60s right up to the 70s. They tried to do something similar where they did like a lot. They built an underground train stations. They built some of them as well for the funding run out. So it's very similar to London, that. And when you go in those sort of places, it's very surreal, I think, sometimes. You're right, it is like another world, isn't it?
Strange that. And the strangest thing is, I've never heard this before, where the maintenance work for the service provider went all through the weekend until still now I can't get access to Wi-Fi on the computer. So I'm using my phone, and that's why you're recording tonight. That's really strange because I've never had that happen.
Yeah, we talked about it before, Colleen, and we've never had that, man, have we?
No, I don't think so.
I don't recall. Have you ever had that when you were in Cheetham Hill, your old place?
I've had it, well, my parents had it in the very early days of the internet, where like if they'd be doing work in the area and the internet had cut out.
Yeah, very strange. Sorry, Colleen, and I apologise for cutting you off then.
Yeah, the radio station had maintenance issues as well, so they've completely cancelled all the shows. And my pre-records this morning wasn't on air, so I presume the maintenance is still going on. Because normally Mickey's very good, he's been doing it for the last year, just receiving my pre-records and putting it on air. And this morning it wasn't there. And now that I can't do Mondays, my pre-records are going to be up there until there is a space at the weekend. So that was spooky. The two, mine going down first, and then suddenly one of the directors said, there's maintenance issues, all the shows have been cancelled. That was at the weekend. Must have been until now as well. So then there's Hesteland lights in Norway. The lights suddenly disappear and reappear. And nobody, even the scientists, don't know why these Hesteland lights in Norway do that.
That's a bit weird. Yeah, that is a bit weird, that one. So, what do you even...
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you, Colleen. That's very weird. Very, very weird, that one. So, I've got one weird... Did I mention last week about the rumoured school suicide? Or did I tell you off mic about that?
No.
Right, so this is, again, it's a local legend. Okay, so I have no idea if this is true or not. There's a certain primary school, which I'm not going to name, near where my folks are, where rumour has it that the headmaster had an affair with one of the teachers in the late 60s, early 70s, and apparently didn't work out or work well. And she went and basically slashed her wrists all over the hallway, apparently. And apparently a ghost haunts it to this day, apparently, in one of the local schools. So, you tell me, do you believe in that sort of stuff, Amanda?
Possibly.
Yeah, so that's the one I've heard anyway, Glenn. Again, it's a little bit local law for you, that one.
Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, I know the school. I know what the school was. I'm not naming it.
Have you seen anything?
Not in a public place like this. Yeah, I know which school it was. And it's possible, to be honest with you.
Well, normally, if you really want to see whether you can sense anything, you should go to any church, no matter what it is, just go to one. Because where there is a priest or a vicar or a man of church, you would always find something quite unusual around.
Do you agree with that one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. I think it's a good point, actually. They also say it around graveyards a lot as well, don't they? So,
yeah.
Bizarre, really, because we go walking around the local graveyard a lot, and that's some graveyards you go in. I bet I know a couple where you can feel the tense atmosphere in them, but one we go to is quite peaceful, isn't it?
Yeah, I used to live across the graveyard and I used to walk my mum's dog through there, and I never had any bad feelings. I just used to like walk through the graveyard. But I'm a bit strange like that.
Yeah, but you had bad feelings also. You're trying to pull the dog away and digging up graves and stuff, weren't you?
The dog didn't do that.
And that daft dog, she wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, we're digressing, Colleen, anyway. So,
a school friend, after our exams, she would say, do you want to come to the graveyard with me? And I'd say, pardon? And she said, the graveyard, we can sit out there and have lunch. I said, but the graveyard? And she said, yeah. So we'd go to the graveyard and sit down near the graves and just have lunch. I didn't really particularly want to return, but because she suggested it, I went along. It was really pleasant, actually. It was so nice and quiet. That's the odd thing that I wasn't expecting. I sat there and I thought, am I going to feel uneasy and chilled? But I didn't. It was really peaceful, nice, quiet and relaxing. It's one of the most relaxing places to go to.
Have you ever tried, let me actually prepare both of your question on this. I've got a story I'll share another week about this. But have you ever tried that sitting on the edge of dusk on the first thing in the morning on top of a little hill range and stuff like that? Not a massive mountain. Like a little, I think it's like Tandle Hill in Manchester, where you can go wander up little country top of a country park with little summits at the top of it. You're trying sitting around there then, have you? That sort of thing. Have you ever done that sort of thing, Colleen?
I've never been in the countryside in the mornings.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Really interesting, because you can get that sort of feeling around Tandle Hills, where I'm thinking of, is actually in Rochdale and Oldham. It's not really in the countryside, but he's heading in that direction. And you've had it where I've got a part 2 to story. I'll come on to this another day, but where I know Amanda's heard of Peterloo. I don't know if you've heard of Peterloo.
I remember that. Yeah, you told me that a long time ago.
Yeah, well, part
You
of Tampa
did.
Bill was where, and this is reputedly see this is all I'm going to say, right? Again, I've not seen it, where they used to, like, before they marched down to Manchester Peaceful Complex protest, apparently you see the ghosts of hundreds of them marching all over the outskirts of Tantandle Hill. It's basically like just getting yourself used to marching back in when it happened, all happened. That's why
You're
people
fortunate you
marching.
don't.
They were basically training for weeks to march, how to march together peacefully.
You're fortunate you don't see the ghost, but I can feel it. I can sense when there's something there. Like on Sunday, I did.
Yeah, you can do some of that sort of thing sometimes. So, like I said, but it's a really interesting point. I want to know what Amanda's opinion on this. Do you sense things like that?
I think so. When I used to work at that newspaper in South Manchester, and
This is a newspaper where you're not going to name.
no, it's shut down now, but I'm not going to name him. And one of the guys he used to sit in the corner on the computer, and everyone had gone, and he was the last one to leave. And he said he had a weird sense that somebody was stood behind him. Well, they couldn't have been stood behind him because he sat in a corner and there was a wall behind him. There couldn't have been anyone stood behind him.
That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, you do. It's, again, was it quite an old building that newspaper was?
Not really. It was quite a modern building, really.
So
I've seen older buildings.
it must have been like what was before there, basically.
Though the thing is, the guy that worked on reception worked in a few different buildings, and a lot of the buildings that he worked on were older ones. So it's possible that maybe something attached to women came to the building.
A good question out of your office, and I know somebody actually that's claimed this to me, where they got some furniture from a relative, and as soon as they took this furniture, they ended up with their great grandmother following them around the house.
Yeah.
Like a spirit.
Oh.
The furniture is 120 to
Was it
130
a
years
favourite
old.
furniture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it's like we're going on about age. I'm going to very quick watch time on this. It's like an emotional signature. What do you both think what I mean by that? It's like an emotional handprint on the furniture. So
Definitely.
leave something there, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Because I can sense things when something's there. And like on Sunday, I think this priest is really holy. You can sense when someone is really, really prayerful. Because the more you pray, apparently, the more the ghosts follow you around because they think you can hear them.
Yeah, I've heard it before. Same also goes on. We do a lot like Buddhism like that, and it's the trance-like nature of it. It's like if you cleanse your body, just like you're tuning into like some like emotional radio. I've heard that before actually. So what do you think, Amanda?
Yeah, because you're sort of clearing your mind, aren't you? And you're supposed to be aware of things outside of what you wouldn't normally notice.
Yeah. Do you believe in levitation, Colleen?
Yeah, definitely. Because remember when I was at university, this all happens when I was at university, like I am, therefore I sit, therefore I am philosophy. So when I was at university, there were times when I just woke up and I felt I'd actually come back down to the bed. Like it was like a single bed, obviously, because it's, student accommodation in a flat that was meant to be for students. And I would often find myself coming back down to the bed after,
Cool.
as soon as I wake up, and I thought, why is that? Then I realised that apparently you could actually be taken to a UFO spaceship, and you don't realise it. And I read that in the papers.
Can we do a quick part 2 tonight, Colleen? Because we're just about 15 minutes, and I've got a bit more on that.
Yeah.
Right, everybody. See you in a minute, okay? I'm going to have a quick sneeze.
See you in a minute.
Part 2 then.
Right.
All right.
Part 2.